Uh, Perfect. We are now uh, being recorded. So members, it is 5:06, September Lord, 24th. And this meeting of the College Career and Life Readiness Committee is called to order. A few items on the agenda. We have High School Grad Requirements Task Force, Artificial Intelligence, following up from the panel on reimagining mathematics, and then a check-in on the standards implementation visits. Is there anything that folks have like questions about? Are we good with that agenda? Um, a thumbs up is great. I just want to make sure. Thumbs up from Robert. Excuse me, Representative Henderson, Representative Vest.
Cool.
I'm gonna assume.
Thumbs up.
All right. Okay, so let's jump right in. So first, finalizing the task force. Jim was kind enough to send out and highlight which final applicants had the highest scores. We were all tasked with picking our top 10, and then after that, ranking the next 5. Um, it looks like there were a couple people that we had like automatic consensus around, because the instructions were if there was a yes from multiple members, they would be automatically in. And then if there were people who, we differed around, we would just have a discussion on those. I remind folks that the applications were anonymous. We won't be using anyone's names in the discussion. Is it best if I guess like share my screen with the scoring, and we talk through any discrepancies or maybe not discrepancies. We talk through any decisions left to be made. Do folks want a moment to just kind of revisit and think, or?
So I did go ahead and mark the ones that had consensus and then scored the remainder. So based on either consensus or by the rankings, we did have a set of 10, top 10. So, and I can say that doing that last meeting, we had talked about a few categories that we wanted to make sure were represented, and doing that does include a recent graduate, high school student, workforce expert, and 3 SPED folks, and an LEA leader.
Mhm. So I submitted mine. I'm pretty okay if there's nobody that there's like, or there's within that ranking, if there's no one that um is particularly controversial, with us just accepting those and moving forward. Is there anybody or is there any reason for debate? Because I know we're a little bit behind in sharing out who we're accepting to the task force or who we're inviting to join the task force.
I feel pretty good about how it came out.
Okay. So I'm good with it. If you all are good with it, happy to move on, and we will be sharing confirmations and announcements soon. Next, first task force meeting date and next steps. So we do need to set a first meeting date. A couple things I want to remind folks about. First, September 30th is our working session instead of the first Wednesday of the month. We are supposed to get the actual most recent draft requirements from OSSI on that date. So I would hope that we could It looks like the meeting will be sometime after that. I know that one of the reasons we are not, I don't know why my camera's being weird, but it's very weird. I want it to stop. I don't know how to make it stop. But uh I don't, one of the reasons our working session, excuse me, moved is due to I want to believe is that Yom Kippur coming up? There's a Jewish holiday. So um we want to keep that in mind. Outside of that, we kind of have, we can, make some suggestions. I would suggest that we set the first meeting date and then um, kind of poll the participants for like what dates and times are most convenient after that. Um, is that a okay plan for folks as just far as setting the meeting dates for the task force?
Yeah, I think so. And they did include some of that on the application, so we can look through that. See a hand up.
I'm assuming that's Jen's hand.
Yes, that's my
Yeah.
hand. I also just want to remind members, I know the last task force was in 2017, I believe. So I the tracker on our website only goes back to 2018 for resolutions, but if it's the same thing that we do with kind of our working groups as well, that the final members should also be listed on the on a state resolution and considered and voted on at a public meeting as well. Um, I would also suggest perhaps putting like at least a preliminary meeting schedule or cadence on that resolution. That way, I can work with the team to start publicly noticing the task force meetings.
One question about that. So, does that then mean that we need to wait until the resolution is passed to hold the first meeting?
I would think so, but since the public meeting is coming up on October 15, I mean it could be like it could even be on the 16th or yeah. So it wouldn't hold you up that much longer
Hmm.
from my perspective.
How much time do you need to notice a meeting?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay, so I am looking at the calendar. Let's say if we sent invitations to folks, I don't know, I'm gonna look at early next week just to give us some buffer. Um, can we and ask them for a response? If the pub, yeah, so early next week is the 29th, right? The and we'll have and we'll be able to share with them at that point the recommendations. We should be able to include that in the invitation. We 2 weeks, because I would imagine we would want to share with them the same time we share with everybody else. 2 weeks, the earliest we can do would be the 13th. Um, Now the public meeting itself is the 15th. So uh I guess the literally we could do at earliest the 16th. Like that would give us, like if I just talk through like the public meeting notice, like how many, what 2 weeks is, what we're sharing with folks, and like when we announce when we pass the resolution. So does it sound like we're looking at the 16th? Unless like there's something prohibitive on the what do you call when we ask for availability up front? Yeah, okay. So it looks like we'll shoot for that. As far as regular meeting cadence, I think we had talked about possibly one meeting a month, was what we said. And then if we needed other things, we could do other things or additional things. Does that still sound right to folks?
I think so.
Okay. And so I'm a fan of standing dates, but we can, I guess, ask the members, but we'll stick with one meeting a month and we will aim for October 16th being the first meeting. Um, Anything else as far as next steps? We don't have the recommendations yet, but it sounds like resolution, meeting cadence, meeting date, and notification for folks are all squared away. And I think I don't have anything else. I would just remind us that we talked about virtually meeting for most of the meetings. If we wanted to, like, have an opportunity for people to come together in person, we could at some point, but um, we're still good with virtual, just for convenience.
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, so that's that's high school graduation requirements, A and B. C, work plan. We, of course, had a retreat, uh, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. We should consider, uh, sorry, we had some goals that came out of that retreat for us. Our goals are the same. Um, and we talked a little bit about the fact that, the new fiscal year's come in and everything else. So it is a good time for us to revisit things like timing and funding. And so I'm happy to, I don't have it pulled up yet, but I can go in and pull up the work plan and share my screen. And we should just flag. We don't have to decide on like the exact numbers today, but we should just flag which of the activities do require funding. While I'm pulling it up, I do want to recognize and welcome our newest student rep, um, representative. And I want to make sure I'm saying your last name right. Is it Mazumdar? Yes, that's correct. Okay. Sounds like you're not going to be on camera and are muted, but I do want folks to know that you're here and happy to join us. And so happy to have you on the committee with us. I'm going to go in and pull up our work plan, unless Jen, you already have it up.
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
If you have it up and you would share your screen, that would be amazing. So, all right, this is our work plan. Do folks want a minute to just kind of take a look at what's up? We should probably also put the link in the chat in case that's easier for folks to read. And again, we're not looking for exact numbers, but we're just flagging which of these activities require funding. So, I see a few things. I'm happy to jump in if folks are ready to jump in. I'm just going to go ahead and read down. All right. So the launch of the task force, that's virtual, no cost. We're going to do probably announcements on social media, no cost. The policy and literature review, I'm assuming that we're doing that internally. But Jen, I would say you and Haley should tell me if that is wrong from a capacity standpoint.
That is what I understand as well. So we do have that for me and Haley. So yes, we can keep it as no cost except for staff cost.
Okay, I would also just flag that we might want to lean on ECS here because things like policy and literature reviews they will do for us for free as a member state. Briefing with OSCE, including review of engagement and feedback, that's free. Briefing with CTE leaders, I would assume, unless we are doing that in person, that that is free. Is that correct? Or is it something we want to do in person? Because we could always get a council room or something nice. But then we also have issue, we would have to get a food waiver and some other things. members would tell me your thoughts.
I imagine it might be easier to do that virtually as well, but I'm open to an in-person meeting.
Okay. Maybe so let's flag this uh for potential costs. Um, maybe get some feedback from some of our CTE folks that are going to be on the committee, and they can tell us, what they think will be highest attendance and most effective. Uh, Briefing with special education leaders. I say the same thing, or maybe. Stories behind the stats campaign. We should talk about this. Social media, as far as what we normally do, is free. The only cost could be if we wanted to promote any posts. I think that's an Andrew question. Because I don't know how often we do that as a board. But I will, uh, unless folks have a strong um, preference, I would say we should this is something we want to be in close coordination with Andrew about, I would assume. All right, public, I'm moving on to, and we can make some adjustments to timing as well, but let's flag the money first. So I'm moving on to panels. Expert panels are free. Panels at CCLR meetings are free. Community survey. This in the past has had some cost. Am I correct, Jen?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so we should flag that for money. School-based engagement. Um, any cost assigned with this would be things like printing, or food cost, I would imagine. I don't know if those are absorbed within our regular budget, or if so I'm saying I guess we should flag this, depending on how the line items look. So all the school-based engagement, school-based engagement 1 and school-based engagement 2. Uh, Same thing for the youth design lab. The focus groups, we already have this flagged because that might be an external contractor. And the partner-led engagements, which are public engagements, we should say the same thing. So we do have some engagement costs. All right, drafting requirements. I'm assuming we can do that for free or already with our, capacity. Uh, Presenting to the board, no cost. Public panel series, next round, same thing, free. Meetings, community survey, cost. So I would say this should mirror the above. I don't know if we're doing an outside contractor for the partner-led engagements, but there will probably be a cost. Is there anything on this plan that is not flagged or should not be flagged for costs that folks see?
Oh, that looks right to me.
All right. All right, so we will share this in our committee report in preparation for the upcoming budget. Next, wait a minute. Per usual, Ebony Rose has too many windows open because that's how she likes to live her life. Um, Next, all right, so that's everything for the high school graduation requirements task force. As far as the work plan and the dates, um, we have not had the presentation from Aussie yet. Does it make sense to make some like preliminary adjustments? Wait until after we get the presentation from Aussie to make like final adjustments? Because we don't know what we don't know. I think by and large the framework is right, but recognizing some of these things were supposed to start in September, and it is the end of September now. We're gonna have to make some shifts.
Yeah, I think we can hold it as it is now until we learn more next week.
Okay, perfect. If everyone's comfortable with that, happy to move on to the next agenda item. Artificial intelligence. Uh, I am coming to Representative Best. So we have two proposed resolutions on artificial intelligence. The first is AI leadership collaborative resolution, and the second is the AI fluency in schools resolution. Representative Best,
Yep.
turning over.
So the AI, what, sorry, sorry, I am not next to my computer right now. Can you go over the first one you said? You're on mute.
I realized that as soon as I started speaking. Uh, you would think the pandemic was 5 years ago, but the first one is about a leadership collaborative.
Yeah, so I think one of the major things that I wanted to do with this resolution was to ensure that there was, some training. Texas has been doing a really good job of this, and I kind of took from their playbook. And so I wanted to make sure that, if we're saying that we know that AI is major, it's already changing the way that we do this work. We have to ensure that our leaders are trained on how they can best implement this work within their schools, kind of like the top down approach. And so I wanted to make sure we did that. And then the other was kind of like the bottom up approach as well. And so my goal was to ensure that we had the top down and bottom up approach as it relates to how we can advocate for some real guidance as it relates to AI and education here in DC.
Okay. Discussion, questions? I'm taking a moment to read.
With that being said, feel free to add, change, or even provide alternate pathways. I think my goal here was to start with the resolution and then continue to do the work to hopefully get us to that path.
Could you share a little bit more about what exactly Texas and other states are doing?
Yeah, so I've had the benefit of doing a lot of work with other school board leaders and state board leaders. And one of the things that I saw with Texas is they've been having this consortium where they are training their leaders on how to use AI within their schools. They're sharing best practices. They're providing opportunities for tech leaders to come in and also show ways to improve outcomes. But I think the one of the biggest things is if they're saying that this is important, and then they're starting with the leaders, because if they don't get the buy-in from the leaders, none of this is going to happen. And so it happened several times throughout the year. Um, and I can share with you all the link to like some of the work that they've been doing. But it from the outside looking in, it looks like a pretty good model. And from what I've heard from people on the state board, they're actually pretty excited.
How is the state board involved in that work? I know their governance structure is different than ours, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'd have to ask that question as far as like what their actual involvement looks like in that. I don't want to lie to you or tell you something that's not true. But it was a model that was brought to me in a conversation, and so I was like, oh, let me do a little bit more research, and it made sense.
Okay. I have a third question, but I'll hold in case Representative Henderson has questions or Representative uh, Mazumdar has questions.
Oh, she put one in the chat. What does a quote community of practice to promote peer collaboration look like?
Yeah, so one of the things that I used to do when it involved like family engagement. We used to have various like COPs or community of practice where people would exchange their best practices. They would share the work that they're doing. There's so many like pockets of excellence out there that sometimes it's not about reinventing the wheel, but it's about making sure that people see some of the other things that are being done so that they can also do those things as well, or they can model them.
So the resolution has the DME taking the lead. I'm wondering if you would be like if Aussie came back and said, "Well, no, um, we should take the lead." Would that be okay with you? And I'm asking that because,
The
and I
language.
shared. Well, I'm just wondering, like, based on what they have already started doing, if it makes more sense for them to own it. But um, I want to
Yeah.
know kind of how you feel about where that should sit.
I, I'm honestly indifferent on who owns it. I'm indifferent on that component. I was just looking at the structures of of the orgs and thinking about what was the best fit. But if there's someone who's already doing it, and I saw the notes that you shared earlier in the email, so I get where you're coming from. For me, it's I don't want to say it like I don't care, like I don't care which one does it, but I think that there needs to be some type of ownership of this. Um, and so that was I guess, my best thought as it related to that.
Yeah, I had a similar question. I think um, I guess related to that. Um, have we had any further communication with OSTE or the DME about where this work stands, and is what we're recommending aligned to their next steps, or what we would be recommending?
Yeah, I haven't. I would need to check to see what the conversations have been like on with the leadership team. I've been told that that was part of the conversation. I have not been a part of that, so I'm not sure what has happened with that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And I did see the notes that Representative Henderson shared. Representative Henderson, where was that, like in a different conversation?
That was from the leadership meeting with Aussie that happened earlier this month. I think the
Yep.
11th. So as far as I know, that's like the latest communication that we have around what they're doing. Um, and so it does seem like they have done a few things, are interested in doing a few things that are aligned with this resolution. So I think um, it's good for the resolution to kind of chart our recommended, things we need to be attuned to. And maybe it is that Aussie would do it. But I don't have a parallel conversation with DME, so I don't know what they would say.
Got it. So basically, I think, does that mean that we should have another next step, which would be um, trying to reach back out to them, or do we try to adjust this that in a way that kind of aligns to what the leadership team has shared with some of their next steps? Because they did say that they were looking into training or professional development. I did see that in those notes. Um, would love to hear your thoughts on that. Or do we think we should still just try to push as is? Um, yeah, I'll leave that open.
I mean, I tend to be in favor of alignment as long as it is moving in the right, like in the same direction. And so, if there are things that are complementary, in addition to what we know about the work that they're doing, I would say they should be reflected as well as what we know is being proposed. I would also encourage, um, so I would encourage that kind of language to be included, like aligned what is stated already happening. Um, because I would imagine the expectation is that these things are done in coordination.
Yep.
And this is a supplement, not supplant, kind of approach. Um, I would also encourage just uh, some of that language to be shared with Aussie and the DME in advance, just because surprises are normally not welcome.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think this is a, like gotcha, moment. I
Yeah,
just
I'm
think
not.
that
I'm
it's,
not saying
oh no,
that's the
no, I know
intent.
you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
Okay.
And so like I'm all for that as well. And so that's why I'm just trying to think about like, well, what do these next steps look like for me or for the team as we start to try to move this into the right direction.
And so I am I think I'm saying that let's add some of the language around what they are currently doing, and I would say let's run this up the flagpole, specifically this. Uh,
Okay, I
I'm
agree.
Yeah,
I'm 100% aligned.
because I don't, and I'm not, let me be also just add an additional thought. I am not suggesting if they say no, we don't want to, that we say nothing. But um, I think it's helpful as far as socializing the idea, to get closer to a yes, and also maybe to start some conversation about what this could be, or to flag if there are other routes we might need to go.
Sounds good.
Yeah, all that sounds good to me too. Just it's a chance for us to like affirm the work that they're already doing where we are aligned, and then um, make additional recommendations, and we can do that in conversation.
If I don't have any other thoughts or feedback, Representative Mazumdar, I don't see any more questions from you about this resolution in the chat.
I
Uh,
do actually. Sorry, I'm finally back
okay.
online.
Hey.
I would like to ask about the expert-led like sessions. What sort of experts are we looking to have at least like talk, is it just like people from tech companies, or is it also like people who work with AI specifically in education? Is it people who are focused with ethics as well, or is it like a mix of all of them? Like, what are we expecting from that?
Yeah, no, the goal would be to have like a whole well-rounded group of people who are experts in the field, from teaching to ed tech, to thought leaders as far as ethics and things of that nature. So yes, so it would be fully encompassing.
Well, okay, that does sound good. I also wanted to know how this policy would like uh supplement, I guess, other like AI like usage policies within schools. I know particularly within like English, like language and literature, there are a lot of rules surrounding that we are, at least school to school, are still definitely like trying to develop concretely. So like would this be also like would how would this work in tandem with how schools are developing their own policies with like generative AI usage?
Yeah, no, I think this is a step that leads towards whatever we. I think this is the step prior. I think this is making sure that people understand what AI is, basic guidance around that, which could eventually look like what are the various policies. But right now, what we have pockets of knowledge, and then pockets where there is fear and absence of knowledge. And so the goal is to get us all to a space where we are. I mean, we'll never all be on the same page, but at least close to it, so that we can then start to draft out the policies based off of some of the best practices that we see, not just here, but across the country.
That sounds good. I'm definitely in alignment with what this looks like currently.
Thank you.
Okay. Uh, thanks everyone. I am staying with Representative Best, advancing AI fluency. That is also in the chat as well.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think one of the things with this is not really having a clear definition of what AI fluency is and what it looks like, and what that pathway looks like to developing AI fluency for our students. So thinking about the trajectory that a child takes from pre-K all the way up. Obviously, I'm not thinking about introducing AI in pre-K, but thinking about like logical and rational, reasoning and things of that nature, and then eventually adding things going on. I mean, up. And so basically developing what that AI fluency framework would look like, and then launching some type of pilot. So that we can try to ensure equity of implementation. Once again, we have gaps where we have a lot of teachers who are saying like, yeah, we use this, we use AI, but we don't really teach it. We don't really, like it's one of those scenarios where I think it was, gosh, I don't have this on me, but it was a study that was done with all of the teachers of how many teachers were using AI, how many teachers felt comfortable using AI, how many people used it as a tool, how many people taught it as. I'll get that information to everyone. But the main goal with this is to ensure that. We are centering this like implementation with an equitable lens so that we don't have as many pockets, and that we are also preparing our students for a future where this tool will quite possibly, well, not quite possibly, but where this tool is necessary.
Questions, discussion?
Yeah, I would say I see this resolution as a way for us to advise and inform what Aussie um, is doing in terms of uh, statewide guidance, which in my understanding from the notes from the meeting is that that is something that they are looking towards, and so I think this gives us a chance to say these are the areas we think need to be covered through that.
I think my question is how wh- how are we thinking about the difference between a framework and like a standard? Like our job is, uh, high school graduation requirements, academic standards, those types of things, um, and I'm not suggesting that AI should have its own set of standards, but or maybe it should. I don't know, but like what um is as far as you know, Representative Best, uh, how are states relating those things to each other, using those things? Is one more, I don't know, have more
Yeah,
weight
I,
than the other, like those kind of things.
well, I actually do think that we should be looking at this at like as we enter, we're in 2025, about to be in 2026. Just like we should be looking at what this looks like as it relates to students' graduation paths. You know, we should be looking at this as it relates to standards. Now, whether they need to be standalone, it, I have thoughts. Um, I do have thoughts on whether it should be standalone. Um, and I actually believe there should be standalone stats, because I mean not stats, standards, because I do believe that sometimes we attempt to shortcut things by saying that we're including it in the work that we're doing, and we actually don't really carve out the space to include it. And so I do think that there could be standalone standards. This isn't calling for that, so yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. This isn't calling for like standalone standards right now. I know that we're not there. It's not even calling on it to be in the high school graduation requirements or school graduation requirements. Um, but I definitely think that we should be thinking about it along those lines.
So, do you see this as like a short-term step, a long-term solution? I mean, like
I,
there,
I've realized I've realized that
uh
jumping from 1 to 100 like does not happen often in education, or with a lot of things that we're doing. And so, um, just based off of my previous experience, I feel like these steps, while they're not, I think that it's still a very valid step. But I'm pretty sure that it's harder to get something jumping from 0 to 100. I think it's sometimes a little more difficult doing that, and I think that if you can establish the framework first, then you lay a pathway for things to change down the future in the future.
okay, I have two
Say that
questions.
again.
Yeah, I mean, when I read the resolution, I have two thoughts. One is I don't know if there are, and maybe if there are existing frameworks, or like if we would be starting from like building our own. And then two is within the standards that we have, in particular the social studies standards, this idea of like media literacy, which I don't can't find what line it is, but uh the resolution calls out, that AI tools, whereas AI tools are increasingly capable of generating convincing images, text, media, making it more difficult to distinguish between fact and fabrication. That's heightening the need for critical thinking, media literacy, and ethical analysis. I'm curious if there's any work at all being done in relation to the social studies standards in relation to this, because that actually does show, like not that language, but the idea that we want that concept that we want students to be media literate is in
Mhm.
our social studies standards.
Yeah, I was talking to um, Vice President Williams about that, and we actually spent a good amount of time talking about that same question, and his thoughts were that there is like some alignment there, but there are definitely some gaps. So if we think about um, deep fakes and stuff like that, like there's some notable gaps that are happening really fast, where there is alignment to it in social studies, but it doesn't call out to it explicitly. And so there, with a lot of this stuff, there are, a lot of tangential alignment, but there's not always the concrete calling it out and making sure that we're looking at it at this explicit way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. I think I'm just trying to understand um and would like to know more, and I guess this will get to part of our the item about like just learning more about how things are being implemented, like what is currently happening and what is currently being shared, um, and what the gaps are and what we've proposed already. Because I do think, and this is not, I do think that this resolution raises some opportunities for things we should be asking about.
Yeah.
I'm pausing for other thoughts in case folks have them.
I think
Um,
those are good, important questions. I do feel like um, the resolution points to, and maybe we could be more explicit. I'm not remembering the exact language, but of suggesting that also as a line of inquiry for us as a system, that we need to think about exactly that question of whether we need standalone standards here, or if and how we integrate them elsewhere. And I hear you, Representative Best, on how that sometimes waters things down and doesn't uh, get the attention that it needs. But I think we can incorporate that here if it's not already.
yeah, I would suggest, and maybe this is something we can look at with our work plan, but maybe it makes sense for us to uh invite, like have a mini conversation in committee, like invite some experts or look at some of the things so we can familiarize ourselves since we're making these suggestions, and also like be able to answer some of the questions around the social studies alignment, and maybe flag for some of our uh, visits or follow up, like this question around media literacy, especially given um, the time we are living in, is also ways to kind of like educate ourselves and um, keep keep this work moving. I don't know if that sounds helpful to you, Representative Best.
I mean, I think it does. Uh, ha- I think it might also has everyone here. Did everyone here have an opportunity to check out the roundtable that we had a few years back?
I attended.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
I was
think
one of
yeah,
yeah.
no, you were like one of the few. I think there was also some really good information there as well. But I do know that things have changed rapidly,
Yes.
like tremendously. But I do think that like it still might be a good place to refresh. But I do think that we could have some experts come and have this discussion with us. Uh, I think I wouldn't mind inviting people to have another conversation with us as we think about the implementation of all this.
Yeah,
I think I'll also like make sure that when I go to the NASB conference, that I connect with some of the people who are leading, as well as some of the people who may already be doing this type of work in their districts to kind of see if they can join in on that conversation. So that could be, my to do part of my task.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so I remember, and I think it might be also worth alongside this resolution, maybe resharing like that recording with some of the members and things like that, just to, because that is an existing resource, and there was a lot of information shared in that roundtable. Uh, but like you said, Representative Best, so much has changed, and I'm also just thinking towards the point of like we create things and then we don't necessarily follow up on them. And like I, since we do have certain things that might have points of alignment that are already in, like I'm just going to use our social studies standards since it's something we've talked about more recently, or even some of the things around like SEL, where there are points of development, um, and there are holes. I want us to be able to um, fill them. I want us to be able to learn from like our social studies teachers or our maybe it's department leads or folks who are doing the training around like, okay, so how are you addressing this currently? What are like if not best practice and promising practices, what do we need to know? How are we, because as we develop the frameworks or get to a place where we have standards or pass the resolutions, we also want to see the things in action. And I know that some people are taking action around this already. And I think we can learn from um, the experts who are doing the work in classrooms.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, and we had a couple, but yes, absolutely. I think we can definitely do that.
Okay, so we can flag a time at one of our future committee meetings to have something on that. I saw Representative Henderson come off a mute.
Yeah, I was just going to try to recap our next step. So on the first resolution, uh, do a little bit of revising the language to reflect what we know about work that OSSI is already doing. After we feel good about that, we'll share that with DME and OSSI for their feedback. Is that what we're thinking? Okay. And then on the second resolution, maybe a longer timeline to allow some more thinking with a potential guest panel during a committee meeting, and Representative Best to connect with people at NASB and then return to that. Does that sound right?
Yep, sounds accurate to me.
That sounds right to me as well. And I mean, maybe we could even at our next month's committee meeting, if not the one after, kind of set some time aside. So it's not too long of a runway, but um, give ourselves some time and have some concrete places where this is moving along. So let's look at October or November for space within the committee, specifically on follow-up around this.
Cool.
Anything else with regards to the resolutions?
Yeah, real quick, Representative Best, you're open to these moving, not at the same time, like maybe
Oh
the
yeah,
first
yeah,
one
yeah. No, they,
happens
they don't they
sooner.
don't need to be they don't need to be twin resolutions. They can
Okay,
happen at different times. I'd just rather it be right than just throwing them together.
yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so is it fair to say that um, I would expect that we would be sharing some of this as far as the first resolution at the working session with other folks to also like weigh in and like our recommended, because that seems to be the one that's moving faster.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Um, Last call on the resolutions. Going once.
Wait, random question.
Okay.
Would it be worth it? And I know, like I said, we had the working group before, but now that things have changed drastically, would it be worth it to have a panel on this topic?
I'm sorry, working group before?
I mean, not working group, but the we had a
Round
round
table.
table. Yeah. Would it make sense now to have a panel on like AI fluency and things of that nature? Or should we keep that to the conversation within the committee?
Oh, I mean, I think that's a question maybe best served once you're able to do some of the connections and things.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it differs from what was covered before. I mean, I would be open to us suggesting that as far as educating the whole board, and maybe it's an and both, right? Like maybe it's that we can start the discussion here, and then flag it for a broader panel to kind of like narrow our recommendations or something. Because it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to be an either or. We have all of those tools at our disposal, um,
Yeah.
in the getting it right. But
I agree. I just want to make sure that unlike the last time that we actually have full board participation in this. Because like you said, it was only a few people who participated in the roundtable, and I felt like we had rich discussion that ultimately died there because uh, no one attended. Not very many people attended. Not no one. If that makes sense.
It does. I mean, I think I hear that concern. I don't think full participation is always necessary to get everything done, but I do want us as members to be engaged and educated about and there are levels to that, right? Like you might want the committee to have more information or, be very invested or need certain things from us that you don't need from the whole board. And that's not to say that we can't share things with the whole board, but like um, I think that is a reasonable next step. I see Jen put it in the chat that it could be useful. Uh, she really says December, so we can invite some of the NASB speakers. And I'm just thinking about, given that the conference isn't until the end of October, um, how we, what are the steps we can be taking while we're waiting for the NASB conference and other connections, like building towards,
Yep.
like not, um, yeah.
No,
So
fair enough. It was
I
just
don't know if you
a
can hear the
question.
Shih Tzu. I'm apologizing for the Shih Tzu snore, but that's a 15-pound Shih Tzu, not a 500-pound man, if y'all can hear him. Um, Sorry.
I'm also,
That's
I think there are advantages to doing a public meeting panel, both in terms of having the full board there and um, more public participation too. So I think both of those are good reasons for us to do that in the near future.
cool. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any more, or what did you call it? Random questions that aren't really random?
None for me.
Okay. If not, happy to move us to mathematics. We do always have time for this at our working sessions, but we just heard the panel testimony uh, at our last public meeting about the mathematics. I know we had some technical difficulties, um, but some of them did center around some of the questions did center around what should we be taking from that to include in the conversation around the high school graduation conversation. I want to leave some space to see if there is anything that particularly stuck out to people or questions they had around that. I do see Headley's hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to share a couple of things with y'all. Number one, the book that multiple panelists cited in their testimony, Dr. Barnes kindly sent us a few copies, so I will bring that to the working session. And I also wanted to note that Dr. Katie Arrington, one of the panelists, works at the Charles Dana Center, which is at University of Texas, Austin. So we will be right there when we are at NASB. She is actually giving a presentation on pretty much the same topic that we were focusing on at NASB. So I'm hoping that some of those in attendance will be happy to go. But the Dana Center that she works at also does outreach. I think they've worked with 27 states on kind of their high school math requirements. So just wanted to flag that that might be a potential resource going forward.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I think the thing that we're likely looking at from the Aussie proposal is inclusion of integrated math. And I've talked to enough math people that I feel fine about that. My concern, and this came up in the Q&A, has been like making sure that that's not going to be a barrier to students applying to other programs. And so like I'm encouraged that there's been some progress on higher ed kind of coming along with that. So I think most of the takeaway from that panel has more to do with implementation and like how students are being engaged in the classroom than it does the requirements outside that that big question of are too many post-secondary options still requiring algebra 2. But so there again, I think that's a place where in the interim we just need to make sure that students are very clear about finding out, if the pathways that they are interested in are going to still require algebra 2, that they are aware of that. And I think the the check-ins that are also we're expecting as part of the proposal, hopefully would be a place where that that would happen.
Yeah, I think I agree with those thoughts. I think a separate question that's maybe still a bit unanswered for me is I don't think we talk enough about math skills and some of the uh, career and technical pathways, especially the ones that do require more of a like STEM background. And I do want us to, because what and I don't know if this is other people's understanding, but it sounds to me, and I guess we'll find out at the working session, that OSSI is leaning to a place of flexibility, being in some places like lessening requirements to allow for kind of choose your own adventure. Maybe that is not what will happen, but I don't have as much confidence that if you're not like that, we are thinking about it outside of how do you get on certain post-secondary college pathways, if that makes sense. I think we're pretending that some of the apprenticeship and other pathways aren't don't have a certain like competitiveness to them. And when I think about folks that I know who, became electricians or other things, they did have to like test into those programs as well. which required like a certain amount of background. And I do want to know more about that. It's like almost if like, yeah, I feel like we're kind of saying to folks like, if you're not on the college pathway, there aren't certain things you need to learn. And I don't want that to be the message. I think that's a wrong message. Because they're not necessarily lesser pathways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to that point, at some point, I believe maybe last year, um, Kathleen had even looked at some of the programs, like apprenticeship programs in DOES, required Algebra 2, and so yeah, that that needs to be that conversation needs to include all the potential pathways.
Yeah. So and not to pick on Representative Best, but to pick on Representative Best, I don't know if there's anything that's helpful that like the math task force has going on in relation to this. Or Jen or Haley might have some thoughts about this as well, that we should be paying attention to alongside this work.
I'm not sure that I have anything in particular to add.
I know
Yeah, I'm assuming. Sorry.
the task force recommendation should be coming in the near future, but I don't think they're going to be very different from what we've already heard.
Okay. Other thoughts around the math in particular in relation to preparing us to dive into the high school graduation requirements, the long-awaited high school graduation requirements. Going once, going twice. All right. Last agenda item for today, outside of new business, standards implementation visits. So, friendly reminder that we talked about, and it was referenced earlier, doing visits to schools that are doing SEL, financial literacy, and social studies well. I have flagged that for OSSI through the leadership meetings. They are like, oh yeah, we're thinking about planning some visits. We do not have a concrete timeline around that. Now, that does not mean we have to necessarily wait for OSSI to begin planning, because some visits might be in conjunction with OSSI and some might not be. And so I do want folks to flag because I know that we all represent our respective school communities and know a lot about what is happening, both new and maybe some existing that folks might want to share. So, do you have schools or practitioners in your respective communities that might be doing SEL, financial literacy, or social studies implementation particularly well, that we might want to consider in our visits? I have a couple to put on the table. I'm happy to go first if that helps. Um, so I would say I have two high schools who particularly have had who do SEL well. One would be Woodson. Woodson partners with Tumani, and they have partnered with them for a few years. I believe we heard from their founder, Portia Richardson, at one of our expert panels when we were developing the standards. And that is a school-wide model that they're using. So I think that is a particularly good one. It's also a comprehensive high school. And, I feel like we don't take enough time to explore the successes in our comprehensive environments, not necessarily always our application and specialty environments. And then two, I feel like once upon a time, Ron Brown, there was a lot of conversation around Ron Brown and a lot of the things that DCPS now encourages folks to do. Started around Ron Brown and at Ron Brown, but it would be good. And so it would be good to go back and see what some of that looks like in action, especially with respect to young males of color. So I would like to put those two on the table for SEL visits in particular. I also have some schools that partner with junior achievement around financial literacy. Monument is one of them, and have had a long-standing partnership. And so that might be a good one. That's a middle school. It is residential, but we're looking for different grades, different, you know, backgrounds and things like that. So I would put those three Ward 7 schools on the table for potential places to visit. Other thoughts? Note, this will not be the last call, but just to start thinking about some places we might want to visit.
Yeah, I'd be interested in going to Dunbar for social studies, but I don't know that we want to. Like, I feel we need to mix in some elementary and middle schools as well. So I'm not wed to that one, but otherwise, I don't really know yet. I don't think. No one pops to mind of saying we have been doing this especially well. But I can keep thinking about it.
Okay. I mean, because we don't have, granted, I put some high schools on the table, but none of them are suggested for social studies. And standards go across K-12. And so I would imagine we would want to see what it looks like elementary, middle, and high school for each of the things. And so we can start with high schools and then figure some of the other ones out. Rep Best, any schools you might suggest?
Not off the top of my head right now. I could. I don't know if it'd be too late to add later on, but not off the top of my head right now. That I want to. If you could give me a couple days to submit, I will definitely do so.
This is not a yes. So the answer is yes. This is not a final call. This is just let's get us started. And so my guess is this will be a bit of a standing agenda item. Yeah, so not a last call.
Okay, that works for me.
All right. That's everything on our agenda. Representative Mazumdar, if I don't know if your school or any of the schools you've attended, you think do any of this very well, but would love if you have any recommendations as well. It doesn't have to just be from us.
I don't have any off the top of my head right now. I know from the people I talk to and also in my school, SEL and financial literacy are topics that we'd love to like dive deeper on and have like better and stronger supports. Because I feel like those things are just usually lacking for a lot of the people I talk to. And then social studies, I don't think I know anyone or consider myself or like any of the schools I've attended as like that has a program that's particularly like notable or exceptional, but I will think about it and talk to people and see what they have to say.
Okay. And if it makes sense for us to like reach out to your school about like what when they say like they need supports just to learn a bit, that's great as well. And so those are good flags. And we should also probably ask the SAC. Happy to bring this up as SAC as well.
Yeah, I think, sorry, particularly with both SEL and financial literacy, there were topics that came up in our like annual report last year as well, and a lot of people were had a lot of thoughts on that. So that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Final item, is there any new business for the committee? No? All right. I don't have new business either. Thank you, Representative Henderson, for responding to my email earlier today. Representative Best, I don't know if you saw my email, but I'm checking in with folks to follow up about some of the things in response to the federalization since troops are still here through November 30. So please let me know if you have feedback and or might be willing to sign. Representative Mazumdar, I believe the students received that as well, but if not, I'll go back and make sure the students are on the email in case you all want to join. But I don't have anything new. I'll hold again in case somebody thinks of something. But if not, then we will be ready to adjourn. Going once, going twice. Sounds like going to happy hour because it's CBC week. We will adjourn. So it is 6:22. I want to thank everybody for their time and engagement today and getting us through some good agenda items. Looking forward to making, announcements about the task force, getting into some of this AI work, and following up and starting to do school visits. You all are a wonderful committee, and I look forward to seeing you all at the working session.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
And great first meeting.